All right. Mic check. I'm good. So I'm Max Duran. CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest. Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Duran, and as always, we're looking for the coolest people to interview. And this week here in Manitoba, in the beautiful city of Winnipeg, we are working with Skills Canada and doing this amazing podcast. And if you've been following along, we have been recording podcasts for months, getting ready for this amazing release of a number of sets. We're doing 3 releases over 3 different weeks of podcasts, and we're finishing them up here in person in Winnipeg. And today I have Marisa Sosa, who is from Skills Canada, and she's the director of
programs and diversity and inclusion.
See, I know I was gonna screw it up, so I just passed that off like that. So Marisa, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy day.
Very busy.
I'd imagine that you've been running around with your head in a million directions.
I have put in already 8,632 steps.
When steps came up in the last podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, what's a normal skills day? Like 24,000 steps?
Close to 28,000.
Yeah, that's
actually.
kind of what I
Yeah.
thought too. Because I think last year in Vancouver, I was doing about 24.
Yep,
So,
that's the average.
so tell us a little bit first what your role is at Skills directly.
So I am responsible for programming for programs, and that includes our National Alumni Committee, who you've been interviewing all week. I do the Youth Assembly, Skills for Success Youth Assembly. So that's an individual from a representative from every province and territory, and they come together and they discuss all youthful things for Skills Canada, the skill trades. And also we have new this year is a Soaring Skills program, which we've partnered with many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis organizations to bring youth from northern Manitoba and from Nunavut together so they can experience the Skills Canada competition.
So you're kind of like lots of the periphery things that are going on at Skills, but they're going on every day, all year long, basically.
They do. So I work with the National Alumni Committee all year long. We get together, we discuss what they can do in their own provinces and territories to make a difference, to, be role models for youth who are looking to get into the skill trades and technology careers. So that does happen all year round.
And okay, let's back up a little bit because I'm curious about how you end up in a job like this. All right.
Yeah, who knew I was going to be doing this
Well, I think-
years ago?
I feel like Skills, even what we do, these aren't jobs that you think of in any context growing up about you. Like you may not even know they exist, but then you kind of sort of meander your way in. So let's go right to the beginning. All right. So like,
Ooh.
first of all,
We're going way back,
yeah,
Max.
where do you live now?
So I live in Ottawa.
You live in Ottawa. And how long have you lived in Ottawa? Are you like a lifer there or?
No, I used to live in Toronto, and I'm originally from Argentina.
Okay, so where in Argentina are you from?
Cordoba, Argentina. Holler, yeah.
With the nice Corinthian leather.
Yes, thank you. And great asado and red wine. Thank you very much.
So when did you come to Canada then from Argentina?
So I went back and forth. I was actually born in Canada, but my
Okay.
parents traveled back and forth. And then by the time I was 8, we had settled. We settled in Toronto, and then eventually we settled in Ottawa.
Okay. So then in Ottawa, growing up, what was it that you wanted to do, say, coming out of high school? What was like your life goal?
Well, originally I wanted to be a doctor, right? I think every so this goes kind of
My
the
parents wanted
story.
me to be a doctor so
right.
bad.
So that it was always a doctor, which is a bit ironic because my grandfather was a cabinet maker.
Mhm.
He made furniture. He worked with his hands, and that's how he provided for his 11 children.
Yeah.
11. My mom was a family of 11. So for them to push me into university and a doctor, so that's what I had getting into finishing high school. Clearly, I didn't have the grades for it. It wasn't meant to be. So I kind of veered off to linguistics. So I
Okay.
did study linguistics for many years. I completed that. Then I went to work. I did work, and this also is important. I did work for a private company. And I felt like I wasn't doing enough.
Yeah, just
But
limited in scope.
I wasn't making a difference. Why was
Mhm.
I here if I can't make a difference for someone, especially
So
you?
what were you looking to get out of linguistics? Because linguistics can often be, I mean, there's like the paleontological side, there's the anthropological side, there's the forensic side.
Yeah.
So
So
like what were you looking to get out of that career?
wanted to be a speech language pathologist.
Okay,
And
okay.
again, didn't have the grades for it. So
Yeah.
I had to, I graduated, then I had my daughter. So I kind of put my anything else on hold. And at that
Mhm.
point, that's when I was working for private companies. And then I went back to school for my master's and I realized I wanted to make a difference. And in the meantime, I started working for not for profits.
Mhm.
And that's when I thought, I want to make a difference somehow. And if I couldn't do it in this world of speech language pathology, I wanted to be involved with students and education because that's where it's important.
Yeah.
And of course, I grew up only talking about university.
Yeah.
And then I started working at the Canadian Council of Technicians and Technologists, and they're all college based. And that's where I met some of the most intelligent people in the world. And that's how eventually I ended up at Skills Canada.
So, you're working in the private field, and when you're in the private field, it's client based, right? So it's whatever your company decides is the client audience, that's who you're going to work with, period, right? And you have this desire to get into more meaningful work like not-for-profits. Before that moment where you're working at a not-for-profit making money, did you volunteer earlier in your life? Was that a part of your family? Was there involvement in associations? Like, did you understand the not-for-profit scene before you actually started working there?
A little bit, because my sister, my older sister, she worked for the Red Cross, and I saw how she felt for people, and they were
Mhm.
trying to make a difference. So I kind of thought, yeah, I want to make a difference too. And then when I started working at a not-for-profit, I thought, we're not about making money. We're about making change and making someone's life better.
Mhm.
And that's what drew me to Skills Canada.
So then how long were you with the technicians
I was
organization?
there for 5 years.
For 5 years. And then what was the bounce after that? Where'd you go after that?
Skills Canada.
Oh,
And
really? So right from there to here.
yeah, I was working part-time and then I was because I had a small child, I had my
Hmm.
son at this point, and then I thought, well, I'd like to get now he's 5 or 6 and now it's time to go back full time. And then Skills Canada just came up at the most opportune moment.
And what was your initial role at Skills, or is it the same thing you're doing now?
No,
No.
so I started as a coordinator for Essential Skills, which was a new program. And that's when we were discussing the skills to be successful in the skilled trades and technologies. So, reading, writing,
The,
numeracy,
the whole
others,
essential skills
the whole
program.
essential
Yeah.
skills. So, before I was there, it wasn't part of the program. So now we've integrated it and we've made it national. So every province and territory actually has some essential skills, which has now evolved to Skills for Success. They have that part of their programming, which I'm very proud of.
Now, with the essential skills, I found that to be such an amazing tool set to have as an educator. And I loved it. It was national, it was online. You can punch in any job and it would give you pretty much what the essential skills were designated for that trade. But even in the education sector, when I was working for the colleges, I found that that information wasn't being used. Like, it wasn't being like, it's almost like this stuff should be in front of everyone's minds at grade 5. At grade 5, essential skills should be a conversation and saying, "Oh, what do you think's cool? Oh, I like being a firefighter. Let's look it up. What does it take to be a firefighter? Are those the things that you're strong at? Yes or no?" You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
you feel like it wasn't quite hitting like it should have, or
It wasn't because and it's two things. It's so for example, when my daughter was deciding what to do post-secondary, she wanted to apply for architectural technology, which is a
Mhm.
technology. But she had really good grades. And when she went to her guidance counselor and said, this is what I'm looking to apply, she'll apply for architectural technology. There was baking and cooking. She was also interested. And the guidance counselor looked at her and he said, you have good grades. Why would you go into these career
lesser
decisions?
careers? Yeah.
And she came home to me and she's like, Mama, I don't understand why he said that to me. And at this point, I was like fuming because I know what it
Yeah.
takes. And that's why the skills for success, formerly essential skills, are so important because guidance counselors, some, it was just this particular one because others are champions of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
was it was not informed properly of what it requires. A baker, my daughter eventually went on to the sciences, and she loves baking because it's chemistry.
It is 100%. Yeah.
It's mathematical calculations, it's estimations,
Ratios.
it's
Yeah.
things that they don't talk about that you will use as a baker or as a cook. So she was really disappointed, and so was I. So that kind of fueled my fire to
hmm
really make people understand what are the skills that you need to be successful in the trades.
And then when to transition into skills for success, you know, why was that transition necessary?
So we found that they were a little stagnant at this point. So education evolved, learning evolved, automation, technology has moved
hmm
forward. There's a lot more involved in the skilled trades that needed to be addressed. So actually, FutureWorks, which is one of our partners, they were instrumental in adding the socio-emotional skills, and that is creativity and innovation, collaboration, communication, things that they're not quantifiable, they're
Yeah.
qualitative,
Yeah.
and those are necessary. So I did a study of past competitors, and I surveyed them, and I said, what skills did you struggle with in school? Everybody struggles with something in
hmm
school, right? Mine was math.
Mine was English.
Yeah. Oh yeah. English not so bad for me, but math. And they said, the usual reading,
hmm
writing, math. And I said, what skills did you struggle with when you started apprenticeship or your post secondary? And I thought it was going to be the same one.
hmm
I thought, of course, it has to be, that's translating over from secondary to post secondary.
Communication, time
It
management.
it
Yeah.
was not. They communication, collaboration, adaptability were the ones that they struggled with the most at the post-secondary level.
hmm
So adding those to skills for success was crucial for people to understand what it meant to be successful in those
Yeah.
careers.
This career could be great and you may have the skills, but you have to, for example, talk to clients every day. And if you're not comfortable with talking to people every day, then all the skills can go to dirt.
Exactly.
Right.
Or even communicating. If
Yeah.
you're trying to speak to or get your ideas across, how do you do that without, you can't yell at someone
Well,
or
you
but
can,
well, you
but
can.
how far does that go?
I
Right.
mean, I yell at home. You can ask my kids that one. I always yell. But it's not as
But you get more
effective.
with honey than a stick, right?
You do, you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was important for the industry, the trade and technology industries to understand that these are skills that we're moving towards now.
hmm Now, what do you feel is the appetite from the industry to acknowledge those skills? Because there's still a little bit of archaic mentality being like, hey, these are just hard skills. And I go on speaking tours all the time, like workforce development. And I try to tell businesses the same thing. The skills are the easy part. It's all the soft stuff around it that's hard to manage. Like I can train someone to be a welder, but I can't train them to be ambitious. That's a different thing,
Yeah,
right?
correct. Yeah, yeah. So we've actually a lot of the partners that work with us are super supportive and, oh yeah, okay, we can see that and this is what we're looking for. So we do have skills for success forums where we bring education and industry together and each will say what they want or what they're needing
hmm
in new graduates or new hires. And so we kind of, each listens to each other so we can help each other,
I got to
learn
be a
from each
part of
other.
one
Yep,
in Saskatoon.
that's right.
And it was amazing. It was a really good time. I came out of it as a networking event, very well connected to companies that are in my own province that I hadn't spoken to ever. And I was like, I didn't even know you existed. These are the forums where we need to, meet, right?
Yeah, and and every forum will take on a different topic. So we just had one in Nova Scotia where we were talking about adaptability, accessibility through adaptability.
Mm.
So how, if we're facing a skill shortage and we want to go into other diverse
Diverse groups,
groups,
yeah.
that persons with disabilities can really fill those gaps,
Yeah.
but we have to be willing to be adaptable and make it accessible for them to work.
Yeah, it's the whole idea between, something that's you know, equitable versus equal. You know what I
Correct.
mean? There's a big difference. You can give people equal opportunity, but that's not fair necessarily, as opposed to equitable, right?
That's
So,
right. Recognizing what each individual needs as opposing to, let's give everybody a pair of shoes, but if they're not the right fitting shoes, then it's
mhm,
not equitable because
yeah.
then if you give me a size 5, I can't walk in them and I like my high heels, so they would have to fit properly.
Yeah, if I like nice shoes too. So like if they're not good shoes, it's not
Yeah,
worth it,
exactly.
right? So now in your career, coming into working with skills, you know, I'm sure like I know you now for a couple of years. You're a wonderful person. You have lots of ideas. How was it? How did that translate into the work environment? Were you able to come in guns ablaze and hey, I got all these ideas, let's get them off the ground? Or, or was there a pretty strict layout in terms of what could be achieved and what could not be achieved?
I'm pretty ambitious. I have
Hmm.
like these big ideas, and executing them are a different story,
Yeah.
right? And that's again communication because my culture is different.
Hmm.
So I come out, like you said, guns blazing, and sometimes things happen slow, sometimes things happen fast. But for the most part, we've had good support, and I've noticed that for our member organizations, they really integrated skills for success in a lot of their programming. So that's one step forward and one step moving towards acknowledging what skills for success you need for the skill trades and technologies. And industry's been quite supportive.
Yeah. And in terms of the projects you're running, are they all funded entirely through Skills National, or is there like independent funders from companies that come in and help support these things?
Yeah, so we are a not for profit. So
Yeah.
Employment and Social Development Canada are big funders of ours.
Hmm.
They love our work while we do great things.
Hmm.
But we do have a lot of industry support. We couldn't function without industry. They get our message across too.
And how do you do that? How do you propose these things to industry? Do you
Oh, that's our director of business development.
yeah,
He
like
is
do you
amazing.
pick like I'm going after oil or I'm going after lumber or is it just a blanket approach of like, hey, we need stuff for X?
Yeah, pretty much. We see what they want or what they can help out with, and some people are great. Some industry or organizations can't, and what if they can't help with money? They help us with manpower
Yeah,
or
volunteers.
or
Yeah.
supplies,
Yeah.
like in kind. Like we have, they're so kind when their equipment and materials that we get from them because we couldn't run this competition without them.
The in-kind bubble was something that our association was kind of sleeping on. When I came in, it was like there was always in kind, there is for not profits, but it wasn't formalized. As soon as we like made it formalized, like we'll actually give you a receipt for in kind, it like opened the floodgates because companies
I'll
were just
take it.
looking. Yeah, companies were looking to like, we want to help, and this was like during COVID, especially. We want to help. We can't come. No one can move. Budgets are all clipped right now, but everyone was sitting on a pile of product. Like, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
Like I can give it away to schools, no problem. Because that's what I like. We have the network, we have the volunteers. I'm sure you want to get rid of, 30,000 tape measures, no problem. I can dump those off into schools across Canada tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? And they'll love them, right?
Yeah, give us. We'll take it.
Now, when you come to conferences like this, right? This for people that haven't been to a national conference, it's a must. It's I've already had two or three people today tell me like my first time, I had no idea it was so big. Yes, it's huge. It's huge, huge.
Over 300,000 square feet. There's
Yeah,
not many places in Canada that can host us any longer.
Regina can. They
We
just
we
built
we're
a they just built a new convention center,
Oh,
brand new.
okay.
I got some
We gotta
information.
look up that. Yeah.
It's the second largest connected convention center in North America.
Okay.
Only second to Vegas.
Okay. I'm gonna have to talk to them.
I already talked to Jaden. I was like, "When's the next national? Because I got dibs, and I might be able. We got do. I got
Yeah, well, I'll
things.
hook you up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my backyard. So I got connections. I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
connections. But in terms of your program, what you look for and what you want to achieve, what do you look to gain at the national?
So at this level, I've been working all year for
Mhm.
this, right? So I want our competitors that are coming in, I want their skills for success to be up to par. I
Lined
want
up.
them to
Yeah.
be not so much up to par, but to be aware of what they need and what maybe they need to work on.
Hmm.
You know, the competition is so wonderful and they learn so much here.
Win or
Uh,
lose. Yeah.
win or lose,
Yeah.
really. It's really about learning how to work under pressure. They make friends for life here. That and
Absolutely.
that for me is huge. Like you
Yeah.
get so much support from your own friends. So they make friends for life here.
And across Canada,
Yeah.
friends that they would have never come across.
Never come
Yeah.
across. And
Yeah.
then, of course, you get that once they go from provincials to nationals, and then there's the opportunity to go international. And there they also make friends for life at the
Hmm.
international level. And, our skill development, so the programs that I run on Skills for Success, we want their skills to be the same as internationally if they choose to go elsewhere and work. Mind you,
Hmm.
we
We
want
want
kids
them
to
to
stay
stay.
domestic, yes, but for maybe a year, if they want to
Yeah.
go somewhere else, okay, I did it, you did it,
Yeah.
oh, why not?
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. So,
Yeah.
and they learn
Hmm.
more. They do things differently in Europe. They do things differently in, let's say,
Africa,
Northern Africa.
Australia, wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the skills that they learn with us, they can take them with them and learn even more and build on that. So they become like, top notch skilled trade persons.
I literally just got an email this morning because I have like just a generic info line from someone from Australia being like, "Hey, me and my wife, she got a job in Calgary. She's a healthcare worker. I'm a welder. How do I find a job in Canada? I just saw, the association is a not for profit, and maybe you guys can help us." And it's like, you have made exactly the right phone call. We can totally
That's
connect you with
awesome.
local volunteers, and we'll get you all set up. And I actually sent them a link for the Skills for Success website, being like, this is what we look at in welding in Canada. These are kind of the breakdowns, just so you know, just so it's aware of what some of the expectations are in terms of maths and languages and what the work is like. But those tools that we build, organizations like ours are resources. We're just trying to like get these good resources in front of people to just gear them up for success, right? And at these type of national events, when we have the big groups come in and everyone kind of culminates into one center, we actually get to see how it's going. We actually get to see, like, is the proof in the pudding, right?
And it is like if you walk around, you'll see now we display them on the signage. So these are the top three. You use all nine,
Mhm.
but a welder will use problem solving a bit more than, let's say, graphic artist in a
Mhm.
different way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have them identified. So we see that you see kids talking about creativity and innovation, adaptability, which is great and that's what we want to see.
Mhm. I've always wondered, and this comes up all the time in welding classes, like the hobbyist classes and the weekends and stuff that I used to teach, was, how artistic is this trade? And I wish we could have like almost like that added on. Like, how artsy is this job? How much, I guess, openness to creativity does this job allow? Because I feel like welding is up there. It's a
Mhm.
high one. And
Absolutely.
like bakery would be another one. Cooking would be huge for
Cabinet
creativity. You
making.
know, and then some would be very not like automotive. It's very rigid. Electricians are very rigid. There's a code book. You do that. That's it. You go home, right? But
There is. But let's say you
yeah,
don't have the equipment that you're used to working with.
now
You
what?
have to
Yeah.
come up with a creative solution
Hmm.
to get the end product or the end result that you want. So creativity adds to that innovation. And one of our old sponsors, Chris Foster, actually said innovation isn't about doing something absolutely new. It's taking something that works and making it work better.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's what I
exactly
find
it.
Skills for Success does for our competitors and the kids that go through our program.
That's a great line. I used to teach an innovation class, and I would say innovation is not invention.
No,
Two different ball games. Two
absolutely.
different ball games.
Just making it better. And
Yeah,
I heard that. I'm like, that is brilliant. He
yeah.
had a British accent, so I think it sounded smarter coming out of his mouth than mine. But still, I'll borrow it, Chris Foster. Thank you.
And how is it going so far this year? It's second year now post COVID. Things are rolling. Last year, Vancouver, I thought was a success, but you could tell it was a little smaller.
Yeah, it was small. There was lots of energy. We were so happy. I think we spent most of the time crying of happiness because we were back together
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we're event based. We're there for the kids. Seeing kids together is really important. That's the energy that we live off of.
Hmm.
So not having a full house was kind of sad. We were glad to be together, but we didn't have all the kids. We didn't have our
Yeah,
secondary students with us,
that's
so it was
right.
smaller.
And some schools didn't send that year.
Correct. And
Yeah,
we couldn't run our soaring skills program
right.
because the Indigenous communities didn't want to come down to the center. And, if
And rightly so. Yeah,
and
yeah.
COVID was still a thing then.
Hmm.
I mean, I know it's a thing now, but it's not that much of a thing because we're all here together,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it is
And everyone's vaccinated
amazing.
out the ears now, so we're good.
Yeah, yeah, five times. So I'm good. But yeah, it's great to have everybody together, our sponsors. It's nice to see old faces, and
Hmm.
and you know what's nice? Hugging.
Yeah.
That because I thought that was a thing of the past. Because last year we were like,
Uh,
oh yeah,
well, we even had
no,
stickers at some of the conferences where it was like arm's length or
yeah,
like I'm okay for hugs or
or no, like red was no, and I had no all over for a while, and then I'm like,
no touching.
no, no toques. And I'm like, no, I
Yeah,
want that green sticker
yeah,
back. So
yeah. Hug
this year,
away.
yeah, and this year we're all over it. We're just glad to be together, and it's there's so much energy around. It's so exciting.
When you're working with these mentors, which are generally young people, you're looking at the NAC group, all these organizations. I'm always amazed like how ambitious some of these 21, 23-year-old kids are in terms. I say kids, but they're adults. You know,
They're kids to me.
yeah, me too, me too. But how much of their work or of the work is you telling them like, "Hey, you gotta get this done," or them just being like, "I wanna support, I wanna help." Like, ho what's the line there?
They come back every
Yeah.
year, like Isabelle Bélanger.
Mhm.
She she's gonna kill me if I don't get this right. 2011, I think she competed. She comes back every year and works nonstop because she wants to make a difference.
Mhm.
Her expertise, she competed in graphic design and she's fantastic. And, anytime I have a problem, she fixes it for me here. Like, so
Mhm.
she has her week every year that she puts aside for us.
Well, who was that wonderful lady you introduced to us today at the cafe?
Oh, Hadia?
Yeah, Hadia.
Hadia. So Hadia Bedouet, I think that's how I
Mhm.
pronounce her name. Sorry, Hadia. She competed actually in the Abbey Olympics in Metz, France. She's an electrical installations competitor, and she brought home, and now I'm going to cry. She brought home the bronze medal.
That's so awesome.
Oh, it's awesome because Abbey Olympics is the same of what we do here,
Mhm.
but for persons with disabilities.
And how big is it?
It was big. We were shocked at the amount of countries. So there was over 23 countries, and we had over 1,000 competitors. Now, France also had part of their provincials happening at the same time, but I think it was 500 competitors total.
And do we do that in Canada?
We do not.
Are we gonna do it in Canada?
I hope so.
Is it gonna happen?
It is. If I'm on it,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Because I feel like this is something that should happen. Like, I mean, as a developed, rich country, this is not something we should sleep on.
Absolutely not. And we had countries, well, they had countries in Mets that competed, countries, not developed countries, right?
Yeah,
Developing
yeah.
nations. And they had at least two or three competitors. And it was wonderful to
Mhm.
see. And it is for persons with disabilities, and it's varying disabilities. It can be physical, it can be cognitive, neurodivergent. There's all sorts on the
Yeah.
spectrum. And it was wonderful to see
And
how
we
much
need them.
we do.
Like, we need them for
Yes.
the trades. It's not like I keep telling people, like, that the luxury of being picky is long gone. We need everyone on board. Everyone on board.
We need
Yeah. Yeah.
tradespeople. We need them. And was it you that said this about the certain disabilities? Hard of hearing
Yeah, yeah,
would be an
with welding, yeah.
ideal welder, and
I've worked with deaf welders, and they're fantastic, yeah.
people don't know this. Like the general public wouldn't
Yeah, like,
know
eyesight is a
this.
requirement for welding. Eyesight at this point. Maybe not forever. Robots might put a thing in your eye someday,
Who
but as
knows?
of right now, really, eyesight's the only thing. I've worked with people with one leg, I've worked with people with one arm, I've worked with people that are deaf, that can't speak, all fantastic welders. Like, I mean, really, eyesight's the only one that you really have to have,
And
like,
right?
right now anyways, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would like to see more of that as
Mhm,
we move forward and we see the skills shortage is getting bigger and bigger and
mhm.
bigger, and we need people. We have to make it known that everybody can be a part of the skilled
Yeah, it's
trades.
an opportunity for everybody.
It is. And seeing the Abbey Olympics, like we took 5 competitors, and now I'm gonna get emotional again. My Latina's coming out. We took 5 competitors, electrical, welding, team cooking, and photography. And out of the 5 competitors, we brought home 4 bronze medals.
That's wild.
Oh,
That's
it was unbelievable. And Alicia, who's our welter,
Mhm.
who you will meet, she was absolutely amazing.
Is she here this week?
She is not.
Oh, she's
Unfortunately, she is
hiding.
not. She's hiding, but she was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, just watching her in a trade that's typically dominated by men,
Mhm.
and to see her just kick Canadian butt there and
Mhm.
get on that podium was beautiful to see.
That's awesome. Now, what about other future plans for skills? Like the transition to skills of success, the soaring skills. What's in your vision board coming up? What do you see?
So I see more soaring skills. I would like to see that expanded for sure. I really so we have the Youth Assembly, Skills for Success Youth Assembly, and a lot of times these competitors have only competed at the provincial level, then sometimes at the national level,
Hmm.
and then they move on to the National Alumni Committee, and then they're on there for a couple of years, and then they come back as either National Technical Committee members. So I'd like to see that stay.
Evolve, yeah.
Yeah. And then the soaring skills, I would like to have that expand a bit more to include more kids. So we're limited at the number of children that we can bring. And new this year is the skills showcase. I don't know if
Okay.
you've seen it
No, I
right
didn't.
outside here. Yeah. So we reached out to local First Nations, Inuit, and Métis organizations to showcase skills.
Hmm.
So we have soap carving, we have
That's wild.
what
Beating.
beading, we
Yeah.
have ribbon skirt making, we have
Yeah.
all sorts, and the organizations get to showcase their skills and how those skills can translate to skill trades and technology
Well, motor
careers.
dexterity, hand-eye coordination,
Mm.
spatial development. It's all there. It's all the same
Yeah,
stuff.
ribbon,
Yeah.
ribbon skirt making and beading is their fashion technology.
Hmm.
Carving, wood carving, paddle carving, that all goes to cabinet making. So those skills are transferable skills.
Yeah. And we're trying to do the same thing in Moncton for our conference in October, where we're trying to take a more indigenous first concept where it's like, let's not just make it like we're including you. It's more like you own this because we're on your land. So your
Absolutely.
2 cents counts, and
Absolutely.
it should be counting from the beginning, not like halfway through be like, oh yeah, by the way,
Yeah, we're here. We came to your house. We just sat down. How
Yeah,
about that?
exactly.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We
Yeah.
reached out, and First People's Development Inc. have been instrumental in helping us get the showcase out and connect us with the right people. And we approached them first and say, "Hey, we want you, not we need your help. We want
Mhm.
you to do this
Yeah.
because who are we to come into
Yeah,
your
you're the experts on
Y-
yourselves.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, if we wanna be making empanadas, call me up. I'm
Absolutely.
here.
Grilled chicken empanadas. That's the thing. Did you know you
Oh, yeah,
grill your
yeah.
chicken before you make your chicken empanadas?
Or
Makes a
seafood de
difference.
marico. Oh, man. Okay, let's talk. Is there any Latino restaurants in Winnipeg? Hey, like
There is one, Los Hermanos. I think there was an Hermanos. It's a South
Oh,
American one. I looked at their menu and I was like, I don't know
what do
about
you
this.
think?
I'm not sure. I'm skeptical about that one.
It's never as good as mom's anyways.
No, never.
So, to finish off the interview, like, what do you see, in terms of, or I guess, how would you gauge this a success? What's a win coming out of this by Saturday? What are the markers you want to see hit to be like everything was awesome?
There's two for me,
Yeah,
for
for
personally,
you.
for my
Yeah.
department, or what I would like to see. I would like to see every student that came in here from Winnipeg and surrounding areas to have learned something positive about the skill trades and technologies and skills for success. So the
Mhm.
kids have a skills for success passport, and they go around and they do try trades and they identify
Awesome.
the skills for success for that one. So that's a win for me. So,
Yeah.
and for a kid, one of the students to go home and say, I want to be a welder.
Mhm.
I want to be a bricklayer. Like, this is fascinating.
And hopefully their parents don't, bosh that.
Well, they can come talk to me. I'll put them in their place. So that's a win. And also, I would like to see the teachers that bring the students be inspired by the work that we do.
Yeah.
And then that will translate to the excitement of skilled trades and technologies for the students.
I had someone tell me that going to Skills National is like being surrounded by champions because there's so many people here from all trades like that are so passionate. Like not anyone here that is involved with any like this is a thousands of volunteers basically, right? So
All volunteers.
yeah, and it's like everyone is here just because they love the trades, the skilled trades, and either it benefited their lives or their careers or their families or whatever it is. Everyone's got their story.
It is. And you could stop any one of our champions, any one of our national alumni, and you ask them a story. They have a story to tell you.
I've been recording.
I know.
They've all been great.
They have been.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're super inspiring, and I like seeing them come and then talk to kids and get them inspired for
Yeah.
that. To make a difference in a student's life for me is an absolute win. I could go to sleep and be happy knowing that I've made a difference.
That's amazing.
We've made a difference because it's not just me. We have a very, very strong full team that works tirelessly to make a difference for students.
Awesome. All right, last question before I'm doing good for time. All right, okay. So last question.
Chicken empanadas or meat empanadas?
No, meat all the way. I'm Pino empanadas all the way. I just there's no choice with the raisins and the olives and the whole
Oh
deal.
my God, those are the ones I make.
Yeah, like those.
They're the green olives, not black
No,
ones.
I
Sorry.
like black olives.
We're gonna have to fight after. Okay.
If you could go back in time to you're graduating university with your linguistics, you're just about to start your private sector job, knowing what you know now about where you went and how your career evolved and where you're sitting today with the work that you're doing and the fantastic organization and these events, what kind of advice would you give yourself if you could just like reappear in front of young Marisa?
I would say try a skill trade.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because it is, I see how people work here. I see our volunteers. I see when they talk about their trade, their eyes light up like a Christmas tree because they're so happy at what they do.
Mhm.
And that's what I would tell myself. You do, I mean, I have that now. Eventually I got here.
Mhm.
I have that happiness because we're making a difference for students. But find yourself a career that make your eyes light up when you talk about it, like each and every one of our volunteers here.
And I 100% agree with you. I love that. And I don't want to shade any, type of education, but I don't see that light up a lot when I'm talking to my friends who are accountants or
Especially around tax time.
well, you know what I mean? Or like I don't see a lot I find that so many people that went to university. I went to university.
So did
right?
I. Yeah.
So many people that went to university that are now my friends and we're in our 40s and and to them their job is just a job and it's been just a job for 20 years where they just go, they make their money. They don't we go for a beer once a month with a group of friends and there's no like, hey, this happened or that happened or I got a story about you at work, which when you're in the trades or in the skilled trades of any kind, you always have adventures. Like every day is an adventure because you're building, you're constructing. Something didn't happen, something didn't go through, something showed up late, whatever. Clients, so there's always this conversation with the skilled trades that is really fun and exciting. People talk about it. And then when I'm with my group of friends that we all went to university together, it's a lot of like, yeah, same old thing at the government. It's like, it's like, oh man, it doesn't sound very fun.
Do I have time for like a short story?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so we were at National Skilled Trades and Technology Week, which takes place the first week of November, right? We introduce the week, we introduce the theme for the year. So we were in Toronto, and he's an auto body repair, one of a past alumni
Mhm.
who is now on the National Technical Committee. So we had a group of students, and I forget the college that we were at. We had a group of students, around 300 students, and he was kind of like our keynote speaker, talking about the trades, trying to inspire this group. So he's telling the story of how he was working on a car, and then a piece of metal flew into his eye. So we're all horrified. We're like, now you've like completely scared these 300 kids. Are never going to consider a trade. And then we're horrified. We're like, oh my
Mhm.
God, where is this story going? And then he said, I'm telling you this because all I could think about was, when can you get that piece of metal out of my eye so I can keep working? Because I love my trade so much. He was worried that he wouldn't be able to work in his trade.
Mhm.
That's how passionate he was. He didn't care about his eye. He just wanted his eyesight back, and he wanted to get back to work.
Get
And
back to
that's the
work,
kind
yeah.
of passion that we see in tradespeople.
Yeah, you start worrying about the job you're not running from the job.
No,
You know what
no.
I mean? Like, I mean, people are like holidays and stuff like that. I take my holidays when I can, but really, how Daniela, how good am I at not working when I'm on holidays? Like,
It's me too. It's very hard. It's very hard because if you're going to make a difference, like you're all there. And
yeah,
that's it. Like I said, if we can make the difference in one child's life, I'm happy.
awesome. All right, any shout outs, anything you want to say, any thank yous you want to send out to anybody?
Thank you to my whole people from Skills Canada and you, Max, and CWB. You guys are amazing to have done this with us. We're super happy.
Awesome, thank you. All right, well, thank you very much for being our guest today, Marissa. This has
Thank
been
you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
And for all the people that have been following along, we got, I think, 4 more to do this week here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's going to be amazing. Make sure you check every episode out. They're going to be released in 3 blocks in June. So if you catch one randomly, go back into the library online, find the other ones, comment on them, download them, share them, let everyone know that this is going on with Skills and CWB, and also check out our normal programming. And make sure you stay tuned for the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed the show.